It's Friday, September 5th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Dalhousie University students wonder if they'll start classes next week. What are the risks of rivers at their lowest levels in memory?
Humidity has risen in the region, but it breaks with a round of rain and showers later this weekend.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Those stories in a moment, but first, the former head of the IWK Health Center has been found guilty of fraud over $5,000. This is the second time Tracy Kitch has been convicted of the offense. In 2022, she was sentenced to 5 months in jail after being found guilty. That decision was overturned on appeal. Kitch was charged with using her corporate credit card to pay $47,000 in personal expenses while in charge of the region's children's hospital. Today's verdict was handed down in a Kentville courtroom. Kitch will be sentenced at a later date. Police in St. John have arrested a 42-year-old in connection to that Wednesday night murder in the Uptown. Stuart Craig has been charged with second-degree murder in the death of 34-year-old Harrison Peters. The incident happened just before 11 Wednesday night on Carlton Street. Police arrived on scene to a man suffering from serious injuries. He was pronounced dead a short time later. No details about the nature of the murder were read aloud in court today. The accused has been remanded into custody and will be back in court in 2 weeks' time. 4,000 grams of fentanyl, crystal meth, and cocaine that police estimate to be worth about $415,000 has been seized in St. John. Officers arrested a 19-year-old man yesterday as part of a drug trafficking investigation. 3 loaded handguns were also found. The man, who police haven't named, is due back in court Monday for a bail hearing to face 3 possessions for the purpose of trafficking charges, firearm charges, and 1 count of proceeds of crime over $5,000. St. John police say more than 700 grams of fentanyl, nearly 1,000 grams of crystal meth have been collected. RCMP are investigating a copper theft that caused $500,000 in damage at a construction site in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. A significant amount of copper tubing was ripped from several heating, ventilation, and air conditioning units at a site on First Lake Drive. The value of the damage and replacement costs are estimated to be roughly $500,000. Anyone with any information about the incident is asked to contact police. To the ongoing labor dispute between Dalhousie University and its faculty that has now reached the 3-week mark. The parties will meet again on Monday, but not before, as students wait to begin classes. CTV's Vanessa Wright reports.
Another rally on the Dalhousie campus. The dispute between the university and its faculty members continues, but an end could be in sight as early as Monday when the parties meet again.
We just want to get a deal, and that's a deal has to be made at the table, and that's why we're going back on Monday with the conciliation officer present, just to make sure that ground rules are respected and bargaining takes place the way it's meant to happen.
Dalhousie declined an interview with CTV News, instead saying in a statement that they welcome Monday's meeting as an opportunity to work towards resolving the labor disruption. Meanwhile, people like Rose Silvestru, a first-year law student from Northern Ontario, are growing frustrated with the delayed start to the school year.
When I arrived and there was a labor disruption, and moreover it was a lockout, the first of its kind in a U15 school, I felt betrayed. I felt like I had given my future to Dalhousie, and I'd asked them to hold on to it for me, and they had put it on the table as a bargaining chip.
She stands by the faculty's right to fight for a new collective agreement.
At the end of the day, their working conditions are going to be my learning conditions. I am paying top dollar for a top-notch school, and I'm doing that on purpose. And I expect that a top-notch school will treat its faculty in a way that means that faculty I meet in my first year will still be there in my third to provide reference letters for jobs or future academics.
We're in this profession because we love teaching, we love the work that we do, and to see the students recognize and come out in support of us at the bargaining table is, I can't put words to how important that is to our members. So I hope Monday is the end of this, we get a deal and we all get back to work.
Now, if a deal is reached on Monday, that doesn't necessarily mean things will resume right away. The Faculty Association says it will take time to get classrooms prepared, lectures uploaded, until things return back to normal. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
There's a look at Main Street Moncton right now, where it's 25 degrees. Let's get our first look at the forecast. We'll bring in Kaylin Mitchell in the Weather Center, and steamy.
Yeah, you probably noticed the air was feeling a little bit more on the sticky side today around the region. And this evening, temperatures around the Maritimes range from around the low up towards the high 20s. High 20s mostly where the sun broke through a little bit more for today. But sticky because the dew point temperatures are up a little bit higher. In fact, it's enough to give us some humidex values, making it feel into the high 20s and low 30s, even at this hour at 6 p.m. And those dew points themselves running up towards the mid to high teens, and in some cases right around 20. And this humid air is going to stick with us into the start of the upcoming weekend before a front moving through Sunday will break it. And so we can expect lower levels of humidity or drier air in place at the start of next week across the Maritime region. Taking a look at our setup for radar and satellite, where is that front now? Well, it's still far off towards the west of us. It's with a low pressure system that's currently centered over parts of northern Ontario. Let's take a look at where moisture is in the atmosphere. So this is looking at water vapor, and you can actually see where the moisture is concentrated. First of all, there's a large area of moisture holding just to the east of the Maritimes. That's out over the Atlantic. And then we can see the moisture that's collecting in along that front, running down through areas of western Quebec and into parts of southern Ontario. As this front comes further towards the east, moves into the Maritime region towards the end of this weekend, it's actually going to grab onto some of that moisture that's currently out over the Atlantic, and that's going to increase our chances of seeing some rain and some showers become more widespread for the Maritimes on Sunday. Now, areas right now that look like they have the highest potential by the start of next week of seeing some rainfall totals that could be above 10 or even 20 millimeters include northern and central areas of New Brunswick and parts of Atlantic coastal areas of Nova Scotia. Areas in between have a lower chance of seeing some rainfall amounts that could be above 10 millimeters. That includes southern areas of New Brunswick, parts of the southwest and north of Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island, Todd.
All right, we'll see you a little later for the full forecast, Kaylin. Another example of how badly rain is needed. Brooks and streams across the region have dried up in the past few weeks. Even our major river systems are visibly feeling the effects of drought. CTV's Nick Moore reports.
The New Brunswick capital is living up to its nickname, Freddie Beach. The sandy shoreline of Fredericton has become more and more exposed, leading to rocks that would normally be covered by the St. John River. It has become more common year after year, with summer weather that has become warmer and drier. And not just here. The Miramichi River has recorded temperatures reaching 30 degrees Celsius this summer. Not good for salmon, which prefer colder temperatures in the 20 degrees Celsius range.
It's really simple. They like clean and cold water. So if that's going away, that means we're going to get in trouble. So I'm like, even if you don't fish, even if you're not, like, you don't pass your time on the river, like, people should still, like, have an interest in what's going on with salmon, because ultimately that's an indicator of what's coming for us too.
The high water temperature coupled with the low water level has made it a difficult summer for fish movement.
We've seen some stretch of river that were pretty dry this summer, so there's no fish moving there.
DFO kept the Miramichi River closed to angling multiple times this summer. The Atlantic Salmon Federation says that follows a trend in recent years.
There's also no indication that will change in the coming years. It will, if any indication, then it will rather be the opposite, that there's going to be more closures.
Currently, those closures have been lifted. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
On our website now, the City of Halifax has spent $80,000 on bottled water in the past month because of the drought. The details are at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. We learned today that Canada lost 66,000 jobs last month, pushing the unemployment rate to 7.1%. Now, there's been much debate over this country's dependence on temporary foreign workers. The Conservative Party wants the program scrapped. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness found out why some industries can't get by without them.
Jordan Iyami has a group of 8 temporary foreign workers heading back home to Mexico today.
Been really happy to have them.
They came to Webster Farms in Cambridge at the beginning of the season to help with the planting and harvesting of early crops like rhubarb and strawberries. 24 others are staying until the middle of September.
One of the most important parts of agriculture are the temporary foreign workers. If we didn't have these guys here, we would not have anything harvested.
Agriculture has the most foreign workers in Nova Scotia, followed by the food and beverage industry, fruit and tree nut farming, and then seafood processing.
They're filling roles where, we need housekeepers, we need food prep people on a seasonal basis in Nova Scotia to help with tourism.
But the initiative has its critics. Federal Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre would like to see the program scrapped.
In most cases, I don't think they do need temporary foreign workers. I think they hire them because they can pay them less.
Halifax's unemployment rate is quite low at 5.4, 5.5%. The rest of Nova Scotia is at about 7%. These are historically low numbers. Without those temporary foreign workers in some of those categories, we simply wouldn't have the people to fill those jobs.
In its place, Poilievre says the government could create special programs for industries that traditionally have trouble finding employees. Iyami says that's redundant, pointing out that there are already similar programs in place for the agriculture industry.
Of course, with every program, there's things that you need to work through, but we already have those relationships established. And to create a whole entirely new program would be nonsensical.
The seasonal agricultural worker program began back in 1966, with the temporary foreign worker program coming along 7 years later. And Todd, most of the temporary foreign workers here in Nova Scotia come from Jamaica, followed by Mexico, and then Guatemala. Some of them, Todd, have been coming here for work for decades.
All right, John, in the Annapolis Valley for us this evening. Thank you. Summer may be over, but bridge closures in Halifax certainly are not. The Bridge Commission released a slew of dates when the McDonald span will be partially or fully closed to traffic in the coming weeks for construction. It begins tonight with the on-ramp from Barrington Street being blocked off starting at 8 o'clock. Then the McDonald closes fully at midnight, reopening at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Halifax traffic is ramping up with summer vacations done, school back in. Now new data is shedding light on the biggest concerns for drivers. CTV's Stephanie Seacos has more.
There are lots of frustrations that can come with driving.
The raising gas costs for sure. The forcing people or wanting people to go with the electric vehicles, but it's not affordable.
I would say it's the road conditions, like the potholes, that type of thing, for the upkeep, and cars are expensive enough to, keep up.
These drivers aren't alone. According to a new survey by Narrative Research, the main concern when it comes to transportation is the cost of fuel. The next biggest issues were road conditions, followed by traffic safety concerns, traffic congestion and commute times, and environmental impacts.
They're also concerned with things like the availability and reliability of public transit. So even though only 12% of the population regularly and primarily uses public transit, half of people said they're concerned with those issues related to public transit.
The survey also looked at how people are traveling. Nearly half primarily drive a vehicle to get around, while about 1 in 10 use a combination, like driving, transit, and walking.
Only 3% of the population are commuting or primarily traveling in a carpool. People are going to use the method of transportation that works best for them. So cost-wise, convenience-wise, time-wise.
Like many surveyed, this driver would look at other options, but getting behind the wheel makes the most sense.
I guess, but here in Halifax, they're never on time. They're always rerouted. It's a big problem when it comes to the public transit.
According to Narrative Research, the survey results were generally consistent across the country and across all demographics. However, those in Atlantic Canada were slightly less concerned when it came to traffic commute times and traffic congestion compared with the rest of the country. Todd.
Thank you for that, Stephanie, on Agricola Street in North End, Halifax tonight. The town of Salisbury is a growing community near Moncton, and like other maritime towns and villages, cell service has been a problem. So much so, local officials are pushing companies to upgrade service. CTV's Josh Smith has more.
A large cell tower rises over the corner of Main Street and Fredericton Road in Salisbury. Because of that, you might think cell service is good here, but people say it's not.
How is the service here in Salisbury?
Terrible. I can't even check a work email until I get home at night.
Rogers owns this new tower, which is expected to be operational next year. Rogers and Bell have cell towers in the community, but this contractor says the lack of service is frustrating.
Even today, this morning, trying to get a hold of my boss, it took me 14 tries before I could get a phone call to go through.
It's not only about dropped calls. An emergency alert last year raised deeper concerns.
There were concerns at the time about residents, whether or not they would have been able to receive that emergency alert. It's 2025, and we should all be able to make a phone call or send a text message regardless of where we are, especially on the main street of an established community.
The municipality has been meeting with the cell providers to improve service. Both companies have told CTV News they are working on upgrades. Bell said it's addressing increased wireless traffic due to population growth, and Rogers says the new tower will bring 5G service when it's ready to go. All of that can't come soon enough for Shelley Geldart, who runs a pharmacy.
I was out yesterday delivering to a client, and we have a handheld debit machine, and we take payment in that way, which is important for somebody who is housebound, and we couldn't get it to work.
I think any resident would tell you that they want to be able to make phone calls and send text messages without having to put the phone on top of their head and go to certain corners of buildings or certain parts of town even.
The town is urging residents to report every outage to their provider with the exact location to push for stronger coverage in Salisbury. Josh Smith, CTV News, Salisbury, New Brunswick.
And of course, CTV is owned by Bell Media, which is part of Bell. Eastern Canada's top lawn bowlers have rolled into St. John this weekend for the 52nd annual Atlantic Lawn Bowling Championships. 32 teams from the Maritimes and Quebec are all bowling this weekend at the Seaside Lawn Bowling Club on the city's west side. On the line is the Sid Curry Memorial Trophy, which is awarded to the province that accumulates the most points over the three-day competition.
It's great for our club to get some notoriety within the community, and we're kind of hidden away here in Seaside Park behind the trees, but we hope that people will come and enjoy the entertainment and the good playing over the weekend. It's a sport that's for anybody. You don't have to have lots of great sports ability. I am not an athlete by any means as far as my real world, but this is a game that I enjoy.
The entire weekend is free to spectators, with bowling beginning at 9 in the morning each day if you're interested. Still to come tonight, plenty of fog and drizzle for the region. Kaylin has the full forecast, but next, policing homelessness.
Law enforcement is one component of the system of care around homelessness, right?
We'll get reaction to a new policy Halifax police will use when it comes to dealing with those living on the streets. That's coming up. Welcome back on this Friday. 4 years after police clashed with protesters during the removal of a downtown encampment, Halifax's police board has approved its first official policy on how officers should respond to homeless sites. CTV's Hafsa Arif has the details.
The new policy makes it clear police are not the ones who should be managing homeless encampments. That job falls to outreach workers, health staff, and city employees.
Crucial that the mediators be folks that have deep connections with vulnerable populations, to be the ones that can truly kind of get in there and interact with folks.
Officers will, however, respond to safety concerns or criminal activity when needed.
Homelessness itself is not a criminal act. And we have to understand that this is a survival mechanism. People that are living in encampments are very vulnerable, really kind of last resort.
Housing advocates insist the bigger focus should be building long-term affordable options.
And we can talk about all the different options that might exist that are indoor options or outdoor options or where we move people around between encampments, but it doesn't end the issue, which is lack of housing. It's in the name. Homelessness is a lack of a home.
The police calls for training officers to avoid re-traumatizing people and to work closely with service providers.
Law enforcement is one component of the system of care around homelessness, right? We also include people who are doing housing support. We also include people in healthcare, people in public safety.
The city staff believe the remaining designated encampments could disappear soon, but advocates warn the housing crisis won't end with the tents. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
Still to come, a very muggy start to the weekend for much of the Maritimes. Kaylin has the details in the full forecast. We'll walk down that path after this. Certainly a nice evening in Iona in Cape Breton as we bring in Kaylin Mitchell for the full forecast. I want to get your thoughts on those images we saw from Nick Moore.
Yeah.
The Miramichi, the St. John rivers, extremely low.
Very, very low, and I guess seeing the cumulative effects of basically all those dry conditions, the dry conditions we've had that basically extended on through our summer season. Need rain. Of course, been saying that for weeks and weeks and weeks now. Still holds true, and glad there is some wet weather in the weekend forecast, but we're going to need more of it as we continue to move towards the last part of summer and then, of course, into the fall. All right. Let's take a look at weather conditions across the country. Starting off west right now, Vancouver sitting at 21 degrees. Prince George seeing some sunshine, sitting at 21. Air quality statements in effect for a good portion of BC with the presence of wildfire smoke. 22 at Edmonton and 20 at Calgary. It's 14 at Regina right now and 16 at Winnipeg. There has been almost like a fall feeling air mass. It's kind of broken down out of the north through parts of the prairies. And you can see that represented the temperatures right now in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and even in areas of Ontario. Thunder Bay right now sitting at 10 degrees and with some rain. Temperatures a little bit milder in southern Ontario, Toronto at 23, then Ottawa at 22. And it's a warm evening for Montreal sitting at 25. We've got low 20s right now at Fredericton, Halifax, and Charlottetown. St. John's cooler sitting at 12 degrees. As we take a look at our timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, in a steady southerly wind, there's a very humid air mass making its way up the eastern seaboard of the United States. Tonight, that's going to be represented by some pretty cloudy conditions. If it's not cloudy for your area now, you can expect increasing cloudiness through the night, and lots in the way of some patchy drizzle and fog heading into the start of the day for tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, expect some cloud cover around, patchy fog and drizzle through the day. There'll be a chance of some patchy drizzle around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia like there was today. And Saturday afternoon and evening, showers with the risk of thunderstorms developing in the northwest of New Brunswick. Now that wet weather is expected to become more widespread for the province of New Brunswick moving through Saturday night. And then on Sunday, some areas of rain and showers around the Maritime region. Those areas expecting to pick up the most wet weather by the start of next week include northern and central areas of New Brunswick and possibly around the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. And then between those two areas, it might just be lighter, showery conditions. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow will be out of the southwest. They do increase a little bit compared to today as that front from the west gets a little bit closer. So some of the peak wind gusts on Saturday could come up between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour, something I would describe as more blustery conditions. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight aren't all that low. They'll mostly cool into a range around 14 to 19 degrees in a lot of cases with the humidity in the air still feeling into the 20s. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow for northern areas of New Brunswick between 24 and 28 degrees. 28 for Miramichi where the sun may peek through a little bit in the afternoon. 28 for Fredericton for tomorrow. 27 for Moncton in the southeast and down around the Bay of Fundy coastline closer to 22. Prince Edward Island tomorrow seeing some sunshine in the afternoon. High temperatures 25 to 28 degrees, actually feeling a little hot and humid, I would say, for early September. Same thing goes for areas of Cape Breton where the sun breaks through and around the north shore of Nova Scotia on the eastern shore. closer to the low to mid-20s. This will be more marine influence there. 27 for Amherst for tomorrow, 29 for Truro. City centers, Halifax and Dartmouth around 24 degrees. Could see the cloud cover, a little bit of patch drizzle hold on. 30 in the Annapolis Valley on Saturday. Hot and humid day there. And then more moderate temperatures again for coastal areas in the south shore of Nova Scotia, 22 to 25 degrees. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick. So rain and showers on Sunday, then back over to a mix of sun and cloud on Monday. Humidity expected to be out of the air by the start of next week. And then looking like it's going to be a dry stretch for much of that next week so far, with mostly a mix of sun and cloud in the forecast. For Nova Scotia, coming up on Sunday, it's going to be rain and showers. Chance of showers holding on to Monday morning before they clear away. After that, a mix of sun and cloud for Tuesday, mostly sunny on Wednesday of next week, and fair weather for Thursday and Friday. And for Prince Edward Island, the forecast for Sunday, showers, chance of showers into Monday morning, then a mix of sun and cloud for Tuesday, mostly sunny on Wednesday, and a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday and Friday. Todd.
All right, see you at the end of the show, Kaylin. Next, we'll talk about a Made in the Maritimes movie debuting at TIFF. And then we have more entertainment with Katie.
I'm Katie Kelly. Tonight on the scene, Anne Murray is back with brand new music nearly 2 decades after retiring. We'll take you inside Here You Are, the surprising new album of songs rediscovered from her archives. More tonight as CTV News at 6 continues.
Okay, so coming up Monday morning, we're back at it. Virgin Radio's 5K a day, and we'll give you a chance to win $5,000 a day.
All next week as well, your chance to win $100 to studio. Good luck.
Welcome back. We've brought CTV film critic Richard Krause back on this Friday night because this is a big time of year for movies. Hi, Richard.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. This is festival season, the Atlantic International Film Festival next week. But of course, right now, it's TIFF celebrating its 50th anniversary. It launched with a big, glitzy Canadian debut last night. Much anticipated documentary on John Candy. We're going to talk about that, but first, let's take a look.
I'm a Mog, half man, half dog.
Gus Polinski, Polka King of the Midwest. Del Griffith, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me.
I've never heard of anybody who doesn't like John Candy, and frankly, I would be suspicious of them if they didn't. You were there.
Yeah,
How was the evening?
There were some cool things that happened yesterday. So Colin Hanks, who directed the film, and Ryan Reynolds, who is the producer of the film, both huge John Candy fans, arrived in the car, or a replica of the car, from Plane, Trains, and Automobiles that kind of blows up and smokes everywhere. And so as soon as they get out of the car, the whole thing was engulfed in smoke, and it was a really cool little moment to pay tribute to that movie. And then they get inside, and they both spoke. Colin Hanks said, as they were starting on this film, Martin Short told them, "You won't find anyone who has anything bad to say about John Candy." And he said, "We didn't. What we did, though, was tell the most honest story that we could." So they tell the story of a larger-than-life guy who became extraordinarily famous, died at a young age, but also battled things that were very much kept out of the public, like his struggles with anxiety and that sort of thing. And so that was nicely portrayed and nicely captured in the film. But the night was just kind of special because Ryan Reynolds had a suit made for the night. It had maple leaves on the back and that sort of thing. And on the inside, it was inscribed with John Candy character names. Oh. So that was pretty cool. Mark Carney got up and spoke. Apparently, Mark Carney is a huge John Candy fan. And he had some sort of interesting insights into, you know, his enjoyment of the movies and why he likes John Candy. And then he slowly kind of turned the whole night around, comparing John Candy's roles in film and the way that often he'd start off as a humble man full of humility, and then when up against it, when something would happen, he would explode. And Candy has something, or Carney said, Canada's sovereignty and identity came under threat recently. When that happened, Canadians channeled their inner John Candy. They stood up, elbows up, and wrote their own lines. And it was just a nice parallel between what we're about to see and what's been happening in the country lately. So it was an interesting night. John Candy's son and daughter were there. His widow Rose was there, as well as a good number of the cast of SCTV. So it was quite a night to be there.
Yeah, and that's going to stream on Prime, right?
It will on October 10th, I think.
Okay. Let's take a moment here and talk about a movie I know you're very excited to see. You haven't seen it yet. Frankenstein. It's been done over and over, but this is Guillermo del Toro's passion project. Here's a look.
I determined that the memory of my evils should die with me.
So, this is something he's been dying to put to screen for quite some time, isn't it?
I've been interviewing Guillermo del Toro for at least 20 years, and I'm a Frankenstein nerd, as is he, although he's probably a bigger Frankenstein nerd than I am. But he always talked about it. He always talked about how he just written a script, how he was getting the money together to make this, and one thing or another would get in the way. Now he's finally made it. He shot part of it in Toronto, part in Scotland. And he's going back to the text, to the Mary Shelley book, but he's filtering it through his own sensibilities. He's had decades since he first read this book as a young man to think and imagine what he wants this movie to be. And so I cannot wait. It's almost 3 hours long. Oof. I would sit there if it was 6.5 hours long and watch Guillermo del Toro's idea of Frankenstein come to life on the screen. I'm seeing this one on the weekend and I cannot wait.
Okay, we'll look forward to what you have to say about that. Okay, look, I want to finish with a film with very strong maritime roots. We talked about it off camera. It's going to debut at TIFF. It's called Little Lorraine. It's also going to be a gala production, a gala showing at the Atlantic International Film Festival next Saturday. Tell us a little bit about this, what makes it special. It's based on a song, right, by Adam Baldwin?
Which is based on a true story, yeah. So it takes place in Cape Breton, and the mines have closed. There's economic hardships. And the uncle of one of the main characters, played by the great Stephen McHattie, shows up and says, listen, I've got a way we can all make some money. It'll be easy, and, don't sweat it. And it involves moving big amounts of cocaine. And this apparently took place in the 1980s there. And of course, the story gets a lot darker. Whenever somebody says, don't worry about it, it'll be easy, it's never that easy. But Andy Hines is the director. Now, Andy Hines, the last name certainly is very famous because his father is Sherman Hines, who I grew up just down the street from in Liverpool, Nova Scotia, at a gallery just up the street from my dad's store. And I knew him when I was a young man. And Andy has gone on to become a very successful director of music videos. And he's directed videos for all the top flight hip-hop and rap acts. Now he's getting into making feature films. Little Lorraine is his debut, and I've seen it. It's a really cool, gritty little film that sets this crime story against the beautiful backdrop of Cape Breton. And it's nice stuff. It's called Little Lorraine, playing at TIFF, and then coming to Halifax. Okay, that's great. Always good to end with a little Canadiana, even better if it's the Maritimes. Richard, thank you for that. Enjoy the very busy TIFF weekend you have ahead of you, and talk to you soon. Absolutely. Thanks, Todd. More entertainment still ahead. We'll be right back. In health news tonight, the importance of staying hydrated during all seasons, not just summer. CTV's Suzette Beliveau has more on that in the Friday edition of The Lifeline.
It's important to stay hydrated in the heat of summer, but drinking water is still critical to health, even as the seasons change.
When you get really dehydrated, the blood volume is lower, and that's going to lead your heart to have to beat faster to circulate enough oxygen to your body.
Dr. Glenn Hirsch says that can put a lot of stress on the heart, especially in those who are more vulnerable from underlying medical conditions. Water helps the body to keep a normal temperature. It also lubricates and cushions joints and protects the spinal cord and other sensitive tissues. With the fall season coming up, Hirsch says dehydration can creep up on you. Start drinking water at least 3 hours before you'll be in the sun or on your feet, and sip it throughout the day. He says it's also important for those with underlying medical conditions to talk with their doctor about hydration. A new study shows artificial sweeteners could contribute to cognitive decline. Artificial sweeteners have some benefits, like adding taste without calories, lower cavity risk, and can help regulate blood sugar. But a new study suggests substitutes could negatively impact brain health. The study followed adults who consume sweeteners like aspartame and others, with researchers finding that a higher intake was associated with declines in cognition and verbal fluency, mostly seen in those under 60. The International Sweeteners Association, a lobbying group, urged caution in jumping to conclusions. Getting an appointment with a dermatologist can take months, but this week a mobile clinic made a stop in Ottawa to offer free skin cancer screenings. It's called Mole Mobile, a mobile clinic that travels to communities across Canada offering free skin cancer screenings by certified dermatologists.
Skin cancer is rising in Canada, and early detection saves lives, and not everybody is able to have a primary care specialist or get to a dermatologist. So if we can help some of these people find lesions that need to be cut out or biopsied, then we could save some lives today.
The response has been overwhelming. The mobile clinic will continue to tour Eastern Ontario heading into the weekend. With health and medical news, I'm Suzette Belliveau for The Lifeline.
Okay, there's still a lot. Katie Kelly, by the way, on the scene.
Hi.
Hi, happy Friday. There's still a lot of 2025 yet, but right now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to declare it the year of Anne Murray.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. The Spring Hill, Nova Scotia-born superstar received the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Junos in March, turned 80 in June, and today, Todd, she's releasing her 33rd album.
One of Anne's fans had gone through her archives at the University of Toronto a number of years before and found a whole bunch of unreleased songs. Because when Anne recorded a CD, she'd record, say, 14 or 15 songs and only use 12. So 3 would end up in the archives.
Walk your last troubled mile.
Anne Murray is back with Here You Are, a collection of newly discovered songs.
I think it's great. There are at least... There's 11 songs on the album, and I would say there are like at least 4 or 5 that I listen to on repeat over and over and over.
Charlie Reindress helped guide the process.
And I'd keep track, and she'd go, so what do we have right now? Which ones do we like? And, you know, it was a pretty amazing experience for me.
Maybe you've been stood up. Maybe you've been sad. But baby, that was long before my time.
The result? Brand new music from Murray nearly 2 decades after she retired.
Well, I'm thrilled, actually. I mean, who would have ever thought at this stage that I would have a new album? So yes, I'm pretty excited about it.
Murray's daughter Dawn Langstroth and nephew Dale Murray added new vocals and guitar parts, making the project a family affair.
She even sings backup on one of the tracks, which she hadn't done since she retired in 2008.
That was really exciting for me, especially being with family, being with Dale and Dawn.
But it's easier coming straight from the heart.
The songs range from a Bryan Adams cover to a tune written by Murray's first guitar player, Robbie McNeil of Halifax.
He wrote a song called Maybe, and in 1978, I recorded it, and it got put aside, and it's one of my favorites from this album.
For fans, it's a chance to hear Anne Murray at her very best. And for Murray, it's another milestone.
It's a real shot in the arm at this stage to come up with this, because I went, oh, nobody's going to be interested in this. Nobody, but here goes.
But the response shows otherwise. Here You Are is available everywhere now.
I will take care of you.
Oh boy, that's nice.
Isn't it? She sounds so good. Again, 11 songs. Find them everywhere that you find music. This is special.
And, you know, there's more songs, you never know. Maybe we'll get more one day.
Speaking of finding things, so I'm on the X last night. We used to call that the Twitter. And she has a social media page.
Yep.
Whoever runs it, maybe she does, I don't know, posted a video of her performing 1970 on Glenn Campbell's Review Hour. Glenn Campbell, her, and Ray Charles.
Wow. Wow. That's a trio right there.
Go dig it out.
Yeah, that's cool. And in the Video Vault section of our website, you can watch an interview that Ann did with Live at 5 back in 1982.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you too.
We'll see you after this.
Mornings with Crash and Sarah Betts.
What would you do with $20,000? You can start dream big 6 a.m. for the first keyword Monday morning.
Plus, Beat the Bank continues. Cue to call at 7 a.m.
On the markets, the Dow Jones wrapped the trading week down 220 points, and tucked into the Prime Minister's announcement on tariff support today was a decision to delay the introduction of a new EV quota. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has the details.
The new Liberal government is delaying the electric vehicle mandate of the old Liberal government. Under Justin Trudeau, the government calls for 20% of passenger vehicles to be electric by next year. But the new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, says vehicle makers have enough on their plates dealing with tariffs imposed by Washington. Here's a look at how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar down to $72.19. West Texas Intermediate dropped $1.61 to $61.87. Western Canadian Select also down to $51.41. And the TSX hit another record close, gaining 134 points and ending the day above 29,000 for the first time. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Last weather check-in of the week. Kaylin, you got the jacket on.
Yeah, just a little bit of light drizzle falling out here right now in the north end of Halifax. More drizzle expected around the city for tonight. Other areas of the Maritimes, along with some fog patches. Our viewer picture for tonight, it's a beautiful one to close out this week. It's a picture at dusk. It's from Dawn Gorby. It was taken at Italy Cross, Nova Scotia. I want to thank Dawn very much for taking the time to send this beautiful picture in. Spectacular colors there, especially down towards the horizon. Italy Cross for tomorrow after a foggy, maybe drizzly start to the day. Sun breaks through in the afternoon. High temperature near 26, but likely feeling closer to 30 with the humidity in the air. Day planner for tomorrow across the Maritime region. Expect some cloud cover around, patchy drizzle and fog. Morning temperatures mostly around the high teens. In the afternoon, some of that fog and drizzle will retreat to the coast. There'll be some showers developing in the northwest of New Brunswick, a risk of thunderstorms with those showers where the sun breaks through a little bit more for tomorrow. Feeling hot and humid with highs coming up into the high 20s and again feeling into the 30s with humidity. Todd.
That is warm. All right, Kaylin, you have a nice weekend. We will see you on Monday. And finally for us tonight, it's official. NBA All-Star Pascal Siakam is now Dr. P. The Indiana Pacer and former Raptor received an honorary doctorate from the University of New Brunswick. As big a moment as this was for the power forward, Siakam says he's more proud to be partnering with the Fredericton campus to offer a scholarship in his father's name to students from his native Cameroon who are studying at the campus there in Fredericton. We have Dr. J from many years ago. Now there's Dr. P. And there are some of the students who are studying at UNB from Cameroon. That is our look at the day here at home. Calvin Smith is here with our late update at 11:30. CTVNewsAtlantic.ca. That's where you'll find our reporting this weekend. And we will leave you with the dahlias at Halifax Public Gardens and the names of everyone who brings you your newscast each night. I'm Todd Battis. I hope to see you right back here Monday night at 6. Till then, have a good night. Great weekend.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.